when the only thing wrong with these times are that they are a reminder of time. Though, even with things then being a reminder of time, do we not say that there are hard times, there are good times, there are bad times? Then, as much as when the only thing wrong with these times is that they would be a reminder of times, are we not then reminded that in other times when they reminded us of a time that there was nothing wrong with that time, and that time included all of these times? Then, if included in this, what we call a bad time isn't necessarily the wrong time, then does that give us some inclination as to how we can make things right? And if this is the case, then do we have a sense that there is something trying to time us? Otherwise, is not time itself something that is free? In which case, would we then be using any of the language involved herein to say so? Then, if that's the case, given by these things, then and where it would be called a bad time, where something is timing, then do we not, by these things, say that if something is timing us, then these notions that give a reminder of time are looking for something in that time where then we could apply this in all times, where then we could equip something that itself is a reminder that there is something on, where if we left something on, are we not then taken to the place where it is that we would be in free time? Then, by acknowledging these things, we feel overpowered in time. And this thing that is on isn't necessarily the object as it is more of a demeanor. Then, when the demeanor itself is that we are in the wrong time, it's as though we ourselves are being placed in a role, which itself is to say that that is the role that we play. Where if that's the case, is then what is timing us not timing us according to real time? Then, according to that understanding, a whole other avenue of thought speak could then be invoked toward these notions of time, where is not the real time itself, what would then be outside of that time, for then a role itself would not be perceived by only being perceived in a place in which time could be viewed, which itself is seen as being set up. Now then, according to that, and a few other things, it's only a matter of time until you have the time to yourself. Now, if I wanted to take more time on this to gather perhaps another seed, which was good, but like two brothers are both good, but they compete with each other. Which is where then could I say this thought itself could become too timing, where then the opera itself triumphs in the collision of percussion. Where if something being on itself gives notions of there being an electrifying sensation, then is this not how it is that we come to terms with telling time if it is about something being on? Is not what things are on housing this electrifying sensation? Then if we ourselves are electrifying, then are we what's on, which itself then comes back around to tell us the time. Though then if that's the case, then do we not say this with then these other things that we could then look to what was timing us to then always find something that is out of time? If by in which they are telling the time, then it means that they themselves are on. So then by this, we could then look to what it is that is then telling us the time to then remark about what it is that is up with them, to then remind them that they left something on. Wind section. Which itself could be then in all times, if by and large the only thing that tells time itself would be something that holds time dear. What is then this experience? What then this thing that would be on, which would then call attention to them leaving something on, to then leading them to where time would be free, would be in all times. Where then, if it is simply about putting something else on, then this is simply a reminder that the time is theirs. Where is this then not it being the wrong time? For could we then not say that true time itself goes on regardless about what is on? Where then, if it simply has to do with then putting something else on, if what it is that we have on is then a reminder of time, then by these things, where then this is a reminder that time is free. Then, if saying yes is the conclusion, is it not then at odds with the need for explanation? For if things were completely understood, would we need to ask? Then by this, could I not as much say no, and then with an additional phrase added that I'm just here with this, knowing that, even though that's not what I'm here for, which by then the amount of where one could even go to satisfy the reason for one's being there is actually held in them satisfying the amount of unknowns so much that without even saying yes, the obvious conclusion is that that's what they are there for. Then, though, if by in doing these things, it is simply then off-putting, then would we ourselves not then say that if we respond in such a manner that it is then off-putting, then the actual reasoning behind what it is that we are doing has itself another reason for its doing, which then, in which case, would acquit us of even explaining ourselves what we were doing in the first place, if that is the case also. For in then coming to the conclusion in this way, if it then leaves the opportunity for participation at the wayside, then we are safe to assume these things.